Live from Latrobe Motorsports Studios, this is Ride Along with Howie, from the fast half-mile track at Latrobe Speedway, where it's grassroots racing at its finest. Here's Howie.
Race fans, you know what time it is. Who's ready for another Ride Along with Howie, sponsored by Joe's Body Shop and Towing. Tonight, we're going to talk to the hottest driver in the K2 Engineering Crate late models, the pilot of the Mike's Auto Body and 24-hour towing, Gary's Auto Sales, Valvoline, Collins Roofing, number 90J. This is the Mad Dog, Michael Duritsky. Michael, welcome to Ride Along.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for going for a ride. Hey, great year so far. 3 wins down at the Latrobe Speedway. I believe you're at 9 wins overall between the tri-state area. So, I mean,
Yep.
It has to be a great year for you. And why don't we go ahead and talk about, what's going on?
Yeah, it's been a real good year for us. Everything's just going right for us right now. I mean, it could turn around in any second and go south, but we're going to keep riding as long as we can. But we've been pretty good right off the get-go. We went down to Georgetown Speedway and won down there for their opening night. And then came back, went to Tyler County, won for their opening night. And then Latrobe, we won our opening night. So it's just been a really good year so far starting out.
And you actually started the year before that. You were down at Bristol, correct?
Yeah, we was down at Bristol for opening night down there last year. We ended up finishing 11th out of like 125 cars. We did pretty good down there too.
What's it like go to that Coliseum? And that's basically what they call it. You're racing in a Coliseum. What's it like on that high banking short track?
Oh, it was crazy. Even just going down in the infield, like for staging and stuff, and looking around, seeing everybody up in the stands, it's just a totally different environment. And the track was just a totally different track I've ever been on before. It's just so fast. And the high banking, you just feel it like sucking the car down to the track. I mean, it was just crazy fast.
And then when you went down there, you took a brand new car. So
yeah, I was kind of worried about that. I never drove the car before I went down there. Then I was watching everybody else tear their stuff up, and they were towing cars off on flatbeds because they weren't even drivable, and they were just junking cars. And I was sitting in the infield like, man, I'm just ready to load up and go home and not even run.
But it shows the type of racer you are. You adapted in a very star-studded field. As a matter of fact, Austin Dillon, who won a Daytona 500, won the feature, right?
Yeah, he was down there. Then I actually talked to him down there. Corey LaJoy ran too. So there was a couple big name guys down there running.
And it had to give you confidence just to be out there with them and be competitive.
Oh, it does for sure, just to show up at a track that you never ran out before and just show up and be good right off the get-go and just adapt to what the track gives you. It's definitely a good feeling.
Now, let's go back to the start of your racing career. I believe you ran some go-karts for a while, correct?
Yeah, I ran go-karts for like 3 or 4 years when I was younger, yeah.
And your dad, also named Mike Duritsky, he was running a pro stock at the time. And you guys went, and did you start out in a pro stock or in a pure stock?
I started off in a there's a pro stock, it's a street stock car at Roaring Knob.
Okay. So you started off competing against your dad?
Yeah, yep.
What was that like?
It was pretty cool. Just he always beat me there at the beginning. I was just learning how to drive the car, and we rode around the back for a while, just scratching the back every heat racing feature. Got lapped a few times, and slowly we just started getting better and better. And then before we knew it, I was running right with him.
Now, what was it like just, obviously you were watching that division because of your dad racing in it. And, you're out there with guys the year before you were watching them race, and now you're out there with them. And here you are, you were what, about 15, 14 when you started racing?
Yeah, 15, and I was in street stock, yeah.
You're not even legal to drive on those streets, but here you are racing up at Roaring Knob. And,
Yep.
It had to be kind of cool and scary at the same time because, with that go-kart, it's all open. You can see everything, the tires, everything's exposed.
Yeah.
Now you're in a race car and you're strapped in and you're really only looking forward. So you don't know what's beside you. You don't know, that right front is covered. So you don't know how close you really are. And it's not like you had the street driving experience to fall back on.
Yeah, it took a lot of getting used to, but I mean, luckily there's a lot of good guys in that class. We had like Todd Dennis, Jim Byers, Charlie McLean, all them guys. I could just follow behind them, watch all they're running, and I really learned a lot off of them.
Now, what was it like when you actually passed some of these guys?
It was my first time I passed like Jimbo. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I just passed him. I got scared to death because I knew he was behind me. That's why I hit my marks. I'm like, man, he's going to run me over.
And then by the end of the year, you and your dad were up towards the front racing together. And, it had to be hard on your dad, too, because he wasn't able to help you as much as he could have because, he still had his racing deal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we always put his stuff first. I mean, my stuff, I was in good equipment, too. We always put his stuff first because he was more competitive and he was able to win right off the get-go. And, yeah, I'm sure it really hurt him, too, worrying about me out there, too, racing.
Now, when did Dad decide to give up the driving seat?
It was actually at Lernerville. He was pretty good at Lernerville, and it was like my first time there, and we was racing, and I passed him in the heat race. And after that, he was like, I'm done. He didn't want me to beat him again.
And the car you had was actually one of your dad's old cars, right?
Yeah. My first one I had was Chris Lucy's car. Okay. And then after that, my dad got a new car, so I took his old one. And then the next year, he quit racing, so I took his new car he had. Then I ran that for a year. Then after that, we went straight to a crate late model.
And your first year in the crate, a lot of adjusting. I mean, you're going from the big motor that you could play with the throttle to the crate where you're basically flat-footing it. And you had to learn a lot about how to set up a chassis.
Yeah, when I first started, I didn't know anything about it. But luckily, going from a bigger motor in a street stock car, I was used to the speed. And it was kind of like putting the street stock and a go-kart together because these cars here race like go-karts, just the way they get down into attitude and just stay locked in there. So it kind of put them both together. So I kind of learned pretty quick.
Now, when you guys made the move over, you went with the Warrior chassis.
Yep.
And you acquired that from Lakes.
Yep.
And that had to be good because when you moved up, if I remember right, Braden Dillinger, I want to say Chris Kossel or Scooter Kossel, you guys were all in there relatively at the same time in the same style of car, all in Warriors.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that same year is when Braden moved up into his, and we was both kind of just starting out together, learning together. And it would help me out a lot, just like having Bobby Lake and Michael Lake, and then Jim was helping them, and I just got a lot of information off of them. So I learned a lot off them guys.
And I remember at the end of the year, you picked up your first win in the car, and went and celebrated by buying a new Rocket, if I remember right.
Yeah, well, about halfway through my first year, my dad went to Rocket to go get tires for us. And he come back, he's like, guess what? He said, I just bought a new car up there. He said it was Tim McCready's car. It was sitting in the back. He didn't pick up. So we had it in the garage last half of the season, just sitting until they break it out the next year.
And once you got in that Rocket, it just seemed like everything fell into place. And why was that? Just the maybe a year experience for everybody, or
yeah, I mean,
Rocket.
The experience definitely helped. And then once I got into the Rocket car, it just kind of fit my driving style a lot better. The Warrior car was kind of freer, and you couldn't really feel the front end very well when you were steering. And I jumped in that Rocket, and I could just feel everything. It was just stuck so good. And then just after that, we just stayed with the Rockets, and they've been treating me good ever since.
So this is going to be what, your 7th year behind the wheel of a crate late model?
Yeah, yep, 7th year.
Okay. And your old cars, they don't go too far. I know your last XR1 that you had is now Jeff Ferguson's car. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah.
What's it like battling your old car?
Oh, it's definitely it worries me a lot because I know it's a good car, has a lot of potential, and it's fast. You know what I mean? So anytime I'm by it, I'm worried. Like, man, I hope I can get around them. I know that's a good car.
And that has to be like a weird feeling when you're chasing your old car.
Yep.
I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it, because obviously there wasn't, but you got the new one thinking it would be better, and it's like, man, we spent all this money, and I'm now chasing what I had.
Yeah, yep. That happened this year when Jeff won up there. I ran second to him. I'm like, man, my little car just beat me.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm sure that helped you out too, because now when you get to put this one up for sale, hey, listen, it's not like we're selling junk, because Ferguson got second in the points last year, and
Yeah,
has a win this year with it.
Yeah, it is. Every car I've had was fast, and whoever I sold it to had good success in them, and we always kept good maintenance and stuff on them, so they're always top notch.
And it seems like every year the car gets more and more sponsors on it too, and you have your core sponsors, obviously the family business, Mike's Auto, Mike's 24-hour towing, but you picked up national sponsor in Valvoline a couple years ago, and it just seems to elevate your program to the next level, because now you guys have a little more resources behind you. But you talked earlier about opening night wins, and we forgot one thing. And what was it, 2 years ago, the first time you ever came to Latrobe? You picked up the win.
Yep.
So it just shows that you're really good at adapting and reading the tracks and everything. And
that's what even when I first started, we kind of bounced around different tracks, and then these last 2 years, well, not this year here, but the 2 years past, we ran that Rush Touring Series, and we ran probably 25 different tracks. You know what I mean? So you just learn from adapt to one track to the next. You just show up with what you got and then run and see how good the car is, and just go from there. And just being able to adapt like that really helps out.
It does, because and here's the other thing. It seems like you run, we're going to say the core this year at Dog Hollow on Fridays, Latrobe on Saturday, and really if you took Dog Hollow, it would go in our infield.
Yep.
And you also ran a fair amount down at Tyler County this year, which again goes in our infield. Yep. I think both those tracks would fit in our infield, and we'd still have Latrobe around it.
Probably.
And it just, people are like, oh, well, they must have multiple cars, but you have a good car. You have a 2021 XR1.
Yeah. Yep.
And you guys, we talked about this last time in Victory Lane. It's the same car. You have different springs and shocks and different setups, but the car itself is the same. And that's kind of baffling, you know what I mean, that you can do all that with just one car.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's just like our setups from one track to the next. We run at Dog Hollow when we get to Latrobe when the gates open. And as soon as we get inside, we work the whole time up until hot laps, just switching everything over to a big track setup. Then once you get it out there, you got to change your whole driving style for the track.
Now, when you started racing back in the go-kart days, I think you'd be one of the top. I mean, were crates even out back then? Did you think you'd be one of the top late model drivers in the area?
No, not at all. I mean, when I was racing go-karts, they might have just been starting in the area. But I never even thought I'd be able to race like a big car. You know what I mean? I was just racing go-karts and just helping my dad on the weekends with his car. And to even think like we're running up front with the best of the best, it's mind-blowing.
What was the deciding factor that made you decide to go from the pro stocks over to the crate lates?
Well, Slavic, when Slavic comes with us racing, he told my dad when I was racing street stocks, he's like, get him in a chassis car. He said, I don't care what it is, what brand it is. He says, get him in a chassis car because he's not going to go anywhere in a street stock car. So my dad got that car for us, and then it's just been uphill ever since. We've just been learning and just trying new stuff.
Now, racing takes a lot of your time, and you spend it with your family. But if it wasn't for racing, I don't think your family would be expanding like it is going to be expanding later on this year.
Yeah.
And in case people are wondering what I'm talking about, you actually met your fiance at the racetrack.
Yeah, but Roy Knob.
And you're marrying Jenna Frazee. And, we talked earlier tonight about what it was like racing against your dad. What was it like for your mom when you were out there racing against your dad?
Oh, I'm sure she was stressed out. She's probably ready to pull her hair out. She gets nervous just watching me race. I can imagine with him out there.
Who do you think Mom was rooting for?
Hopefully me.
Yeah, I'm sure she was, and she would never admit if she wasn't. But
No,
now your fiance Jenna, you're racing, and her younger brother Ryan is
Yep.
racing, and I feel bad for Jenna on race night because it's not a question of loyalty. That's not the best word to use here, but
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm trying to say. Are you cheering for your brother? Are you cheering for your future husband?
Yeah.
Mike gonna be sleeping on the couch this week, or has there ever been an issue between you and Ryan on the track?
No, not really. But we both race each other hard. I mean, when me and him get together, we race each other harder than we would anybody else. I guarantee it.
And you both did that Rush tour and that, and he's focused now on running at Latrobe. And like I said, he's one of the two guys that have beat you this year at Latrobe.
Yep.
And
He's good.
Yeah, for his age, he's very good, and you're very good for your age too. How old are you, Michael? You're 20.
25.
Okay, I was going to say 4, so I wasn't that far off.
Yeah.
And coming up this week, $2,500 to win for the crates, and a lot of people. There's some other racing going on this weekend with the crates, but I'm telling you what, I think we're going to have an all-star field because one thing with us, we're not. It has to be a crate tire, but we're not mandating tires and everything. We're not charging an entry for the car and that. And I look to get some pretty big hitters coming, but here you are coming. They're coming to your house, Michael, Latrobe Speedway. And what's it going to take to put the 90-day in victory lane?
We just gotta just keep our heads concentrated on the car and just give the car what it needs. You know what I mean? I just every time we go on the track, just gotta make the right decisions and hope everything plays out in our favor.
I will say this: the one thing I've noticed about you, and I had the pleasure of announcing your career since you made the move over to the crates, even back at the Knob, I was announcer up there. And one thing I will say is, since the last 6 years, you hardly ever see that 90J getting towed off the track. And you are an aggressive driver, and that's not a bad thing, but you don't put the car in a position that it's getting towed off because it's wrecked.
Yeah, you just gotta know your limits. I know how hard I can drive the car without spinning it out. I know, I just think ahead before I see stuff. If I'm running up on a car, I think ahead what I'm going to do and watch what they're doing before I even get to them to make the right decisions. And then just our maintenance on the cars. I mean, I go over that car like the fine tooth comb. Just make sure everything's good, everything's tight, everything's 100%. So when I go to the track, I just want to make sure I want no doubts that the car's not going to hold together.
And like I said, you never see anything falling off of it. You never see it getting towed in. Body-wise, I can't even remember the last time you had to replace a quarter because of it being wrecked.
Yeah.
I mean, loving his racing, don't get me wrong, but, it just says a lot right there. And that's why, how many championships have you won now? 3?
3, I think it's 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, I mean, you don't even run for track championships, and you got 3 of them.
It just kind of plays out that way. Like 1 year at the Knob, we missed probably a month of racing, and we come back and still won the championship. And usually we start off the year just kind of bouncing around, and if it ends up we're leading the points somewhere, we'll go back and run for points. This year here, we just started off the year running at Georgetown, and then Tyler County, Latrobe, Dog Hollow, and it's at one point in time I was leading the points at all the tracks because Georgetown only races once a month or something like that. I'm actually still leading the points at Georgetown Speedway right now, and I'm leading at Dog Hollow and I'm leading at Latrobe. So it's funny how it works out.
You like running local better than the traveling?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's especially now with the cost of everything going up, it just makes more sense to run local. The only nice thing about traveling around is to get to race against different people. There's always better people to race against, so it's nice to go there and judge yourself off of them and then get yourself better.
But you mentioned something yourself earlier. You kind of, when you're out there and you're racing, you're trying to look ahead and see what somebody's going to do. And it's probably easier now running where you run because, yeah, we do get different drivers in sometimes, but normally our top five are, you over Shields, Ryan's always up there, and Ferguson. I mean, we got a consistent batch of good cars too.
Yeah. I mean, when you're coming through the field, who's going to race you clean, who can hold a line, who can't. You know what I mean? Before you get to them. And some guys, you got to pass them as quick as you can to give them a chance to react. You know what I mean? So that definitely helps knowing what you're racing against.
Now, have you ever let your dad take your car out?
I don't think he's ever taken my car out. No, we was going to let him a couple weeks ago. We was going to ask them if he can go out after the race, just make a couple laps. We had him in the car one time at Tyler County for his practice they were having night before a big race. We got him in the car and had him go up the lineup, and then we fogged out because the fog set in at Tyler County. He couldn't go out.
Well, I'll tell you what,
the closest he ever got.
We're going to have to make it happen, and just I want to see the look on your dad's face when he pulls in with that late model.
I like to see him do it because he gives me a lot of heck about my driving, so I want to criticize him a little bit.
Hey, Michael, why don't we go ahead and thank everybody who helps make your racing possible. That pit crew that's very dedicated to your car. You mentioned all the time you put in, but I know Mr. Slavic and Brandon and everybody, they're putting in that time with you.
Oh, yeah. My mom, dad, fiance Jenna, Randy, Slav, Brandon. There's a lot of people that help out on the car. My cousin Josh, my cousin Jaden. People that come sometimes, like Mark Peck, helps a lot. I appreciate all their help when they come to the track and during the week.
And you got that great sponsorship base, which includes Valvoline, Gary's Auto, Collins Roofing, Mike's Auto, Mike's 24-hour towing. Who am I missing?
There's Ingram Engines, Economy Furnace, Economy Electric, Palos Body and Color, Russ King Racing, you said Valvoline, Napa Auto Parts, it's Fayette Parts, Gary's Auto Sales. There's a lot of them that make the car go around, and I couldn't do it without any of them.
Well, what are the odds of Michael Duritsky defending that home turf and taking home that $2,500 grand prize this weekend?
I really hope so. I'm going to give it all I got, that's for sure.
Hey, Michael, I appreciate you taking time, going for a ride. I know it's kind of unique. You're normally driving, but tonight you got to go for a ride. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. I appreciate you having me on.
And I appreciate you. And race fans, be sure this week to check out the 90J, the Gary's Auto Sales, Mike's 24-hour towing, Mike's Auto Body, Ingram Racing Engine, Rocket, driver Michael Duritsky. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Chance, that's going to wrap up another Ride Along with Howie. And while we have a chance, I'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors: Joe's Body Shop and Towing, SMB Promotion, Specialty Metals, K2 Engineering, Rock Auto, Seal Tight, Stone and Company, Vinyl Destination, DJS Swag, and General Cartwright. Remember, please support those who support racing, and we'll see you this week at the races.